Viewer Marcel suggested doing a video about the train stations in Russia, and that is absolutely fine by me. This was the first train station in Yekaterinburg. These days it's used as a railway museum, and the current station is just over there. Russian railways have big offices like this in all the big cities. You have to think Russia is the biggest country in the world, and really the train system it covers most of the country really, so I guess it makes it the biggest train system in the world as well. This is the main building of the current train station. So as you can tell from the style, this side wing was added later on. So Yekaterinburg is not my favourite station. It's a little bit on the cramped side. This is quite spacious where I am now, but generally the rest of it's a little bit tight. This room here is pretty cool. It's decorated with 6 huge pieces of art here. And straight away you can tell from this first one that it can't be from the Soviet period, because it's got the royal family there, the Russian royal family, which would never happen in Soviet art. It's really good though. I think this one here is my favourite. Look at that. The great one there with the city in the background. Wow, I've just come into the adjacent waiting room and they've got 6 more in here as well. So this is the newer part, the real sort of typical Soviet modernism style one, from the outside. The inside is not so noticeable. And to be honest, it seems to be just mostly ticket offices in here. It's not quite so interesting. That's kind of cool. They've got a couple of capsule beds there. Anyone waiting a few hours for their train wants to have a sleep, they can. If ever you want to leave a human being in a locker, well then you can do it here at the station, because look at full-size lockers here. So they're saying here at one of the other train stations in the city they spent 200 million rubles renovating it and improving it. That's why normally I just carry it like this, because it's actually easier. I should say, in fairness, they've got a chairlift for disabled people, so that's good. Check out that artwork, that's unusual. See a big piece like that in a station. Look at these trees as well. Gives the station a really nice effect. Most unusual. This station feels more like a museum in a way. Not very busy, very quiet. Makes it seem even more like a museum. Get a little view as well of the rainy, gloomy city. So they've messed about with the outside windows, unfortunately, upgraded them, but the inside windows are still the old school ones. Also, look at the distance between the 2 window panes. I must say, I like this round staircase as well. That is cool. This is actually a good city because it's got a wonderful train station, as you just see, and also it's got its own tram system. Quite often the trams go through little villages, even in cities, and rather odd places like this. They're much more fun to ride on than buses, but they're a bit rickety. One great thing about the trams is the big windows. It really allows you to see the whole city. That was my one there, the old school blue and white one. Of course, not all train stations in Russia are great. Some are just simple, dull little things like here. At least these stations are very quiet, peaceful places really. You just come on, the only person here. There's only one train from this station all day. It's very common to see the old steam engines on display at a train station. I've seen it many times. Also, many of the train stations, especially the bigger ones, will have their own little museum. And there's other things as well, like children's railways in many of the big cities. Apart from the trains themselves, there's loads of other train-related monuments and statues all around the country. I've seen many over the years. Here's one here. A simple one, but still. Obviously, kids love trains. Any of you with very little children like me will be familiar with their habit of waving to any train they see. So Russia has three types of train. It has the long distance trains, the regional trains and the high speed trains. Everything of course modernised these days. You've got the automatic locks there, little button, automatic toilet flush, things like that. So the long distance trains, they can actually be very comfortable if you get a bed, but they are very slow. Now the regional trains, they also are very slow, but not even comfortable. So the best trains are actually the ones I'm on now, the higher speed ones. I mean high speed certainly in comparison to the other trains in Russia. One great thing about the trains in Russia is about how accessible they are. Now, I've just done a journey of 80 kilometers on a high-speed commuter train, and I mean it cost 300 rubles. Now, good integrated transport system in Russia generally as well. You just get straight off your train and then jump straight onto the city tram. Behind me is probably my favourite train station in the whole country. It's located in Chelyabinsk, and from the outside it doesn't look very good at all, does it? On the contrary, it looks quite dull and ugly. But inside, I really like it. Let's go check it out. This station is so big on the outside as well. I mean, there's not just one or two tracks. There must be about 50. You can play chess here if you want, or pool, or table football. Get a good view of the city outside as well. Here's another one of these really beautiful stained glass windows from the Soviet period. produced in the early 80s in the special factory in St. Petersburg. The one thing I like about this station is just light and airy. It's not crowded like so many other stations. This is the third stained glass window. So like I say, I mean, 3 real masterpieces at this station. The station's got its own little garden as well. Look at that. So all in all, I think Chelyabinsk has to be one of my favourite stations in Russia.